After her mother remarries, a teenager gradually develops passionate feelings for her handsome but arrogant stepbrother. However, someone from her past wishes to exact revenge and ruin her life. In her old bedroom, Noah takes one final look at the space, then grabs the framed picture of her and her father, a rally driver. During the drive to their new home, the teen argues with her mother, Rafaela, whom she blames for taking her far away from her friends and boyfriend, Dan. Soon, they arrive at a lavish mansion where Will, the woman's new husband, greets them. Despite the warm welcome, Noah doesn't hide her disdain for the stepfather. Inside, the mother takes the teen to her new bedroom, and the grateful daughter thanks her. Before leaving, the woman mentions that the room next to Noah's is Nick's, Will's son. In the walk-in closet, she sees new clothes, takes a selfie, and sends it to her friend. Moments later, the teen spots someone on the adjacent balcony, but her phone suddenly rings, so she heads inside to answer it. Betty, her best friend, expresses her jealousy of Noah's opulent life, but the teen says she hates living in a stuffy mansion. She goes to the kitchen to grab a snack and mentions their family dinner at the sailing club that evening. While Noah checks the fridge, Nick appears and the startled teen tosses her phone over her shoulder. He deduces that she's his new stepsister and mocks her complaints about the food. Annoyed, she turns around to pick up her phone but realizes she's face to face with a man's growling pet dog, Thor. Noah tells him to call off the animal, but Nick enjoys watching the scared teen. Eventually, he orders Thor to stand down, and when Rafaela and Will appear, asking if their children are getting along, the daughter lies and mentions how nice Nick is. That evening, the family waits for Noah, who descends the stairs wearing a band t-shirt even though everyone else is dressed for a formal dinner. During the car ride, she texts her boyfriend, who responds glibly about how busy she is. From the other vehicle, Nick stares at her, smiles, and tosses his cigarette out the window. At the restaurant, Noah learns that her stepbrother enjoys surfing, so she mocks him for liking a sport that doesn't require intelligence. Amused, the man excuses himself from the dinner because he has to finish paperwork at his friend's house. Rafaela tells his daughter that the man studies law and excels at it. Then, the teen says she also wants to leave, so Will tells his son to drop her off at the house on his way to work. On the drive back, the pair continue bickering, but when Nick makes an offhand comment about Rafaela being a patient mother because she has to put up with the teen's behavior, Noah indifferently says he wouldn't know anything about a mother's love. Furious, the man stops the vehicle and orders his stepsister to get out, stranding her in the middle of nowhere. Unfortunately, her phone's battery runs out, so she waves down a passing car to hitch a ride. Mario picks her up and mentions he's on his way to a party. When he learns that she's Nick's stepsister, he reveals that the man's probably already at the party he's headed to. At the shindig, Mario warns the teen to stay away from Ronnie, a known troublemaker who just got out of prison. By the pool, Noah spots a shirtless Nick making out with several women. Moments later, she punches the man for abandoning her earlier, and he orders her to leave. However, she's determined to stay and threatens to tell his father about the party, especially since he lied about going to work. Nick grabs her by the arms and says it's unwise to get on his bad side. Then, he brings his face close to hers, states that she's just like the other girls, and mocks the knot tattoo behind her ear. Insulted, she explains that it stands for how strong she is, and she pushes him away. After Nick leaves, Jenna approaches the teen and says Mario told her what happened. Noah shares that she is unable to see her best friend and boyfriend's posts on social media, so Jenna tells her not to worry and enjoy the party. The new friend places a red bandana on the teen's bag, so Ronnie's gang leaves her alone. Seconds later, Jenna's boyfriend Lion joins them and introduces himself. Later that night, Ronnie tells Noah that he knows she's Nick's stepsister. Then, the man instructs his lackey to offer the teen a drink. Suddenly, the stepbrother pushes the man away and knocks the spiked drink out of Noah's hand. To make sure she's safe, the man takes the intoxicated teen home. In the house, Nick carries his stumbling stepsister to her bedroom. When he turns the lamp off, she tells him to leave it on, implying that she's afraid of the dark. That night, Noah dreams of the time her scared mother told her to hide in the closet to keep her safe from a man angrily pounding on the bedroom door. The next day, the confused teen wonders why her mother thinks she was at Jenna's last night and that she and the stepbrother get along. So she checks her phone and sees that Nick used it to tell Rafaela that she was at Jenna's watching a movie and that she now thinks he is great. The mother thanks her stepson for introducing her daughter to his friends, but Noah exclaims that she hasn't forgiven Rafaela for taking her away from Dan and her friends. While Noah sunbathes at the beach, she answers a call from an unknown number, but all she hears is the person's breathing. Seconds later, Nick and his friends arrive, so she confronts him for touching her phone. When the man changes into a wetsuit, the teen sneaks glances at his clothless body. Then, two women appear and one asks Nick if they can watch him race tonight. but he pretends he doesn't know what she's talking about. At the drag racing party that night, the man gets distracted when he sees his stepsister arrive, causing him to lag behind his opponent. After the first lap, he sees Noah and Mario hug, and Lion tells Jenna that his friend seems distracted. A few feet away, Nick's on-and-off girlfriend Anna side-eyes the teen. Seconds later, Noah explains why her stepbrother's having problems with the sixth turn, prompting Lion to wonder how she knows so much about racing. Eventually, the man wins the race, angering Ronnie. Meanwhile, the teen receives pictures of Betty and Dan making out, so Jenna tells her to kiss someone at the party as payback. After receiving more pictures of her boyfriend's betrayal, she grabs a random guy and kisses him. Later, they continue making out by Nick's car, so the stepbrother tells the man to get away from his vehicle. When he learns that Noah needs a selfie of her kissing another guy, he says he'll do it if she promises to go home with Jenna immediately after. So the pair lock lips, he takes a picture, and after he walks away, the flustered teen gets in his car. Then, Nick finds Anna so they can make love inside her vehicle. Meanwhile, Noah sends the picture to her cheating boyfriend. Suddenly, Ronnie drives up next to her and says the final race is about to start, and that if she doesn't participate, his team wins by default. Nick and his friends realize Noah's in the car, and her superb driving skills surprise everyone. The teen wins the race, but the spiteful Ronnie says Nick broke the rules because he was supposed to be the driver. The stepbrother counters that the race doesn't count because Noah isn't part of the team. However, Ronnie points out the red bandana on the teen's bag, so the defeated Nick pays the man 15,000 euros and hands over his car keys. When Ronnie insults Noah, the stepbrother retaliates with a punch, and a brawl breaks out. In the chaos, the teen curls up on the ground, haunted by a violent childhood memory. Someone accidentally steps on her hand, and Jenna soon pulls her to safety and they drive away with Lion and Nick. In the back seat, the teen sees a similar knot tattoo on her stepbrother's arm, and he wraps her injured hand with a bandana. The next day, Noah receives a text from the unknown number telling her that she should have kept her mouth shut, but she hides it from her mother. Then, Jenna arrives to help the teen prepare for Will's company gala that evening. Later, the husband sees how anxious Rafaela is about making a good impression at the event, so he assures her that it'll be nothing compared to the tougher tests she's already endured in her life. As they hold each other close, Noah sees the couple in a loving embrace. Meanwhile, by the beach, Nick spends time with his diabetic sister from his mother's side, Maggie. The man says he needs to leave because of the party, but the child begs him to stay. After the gala, Rafaela comforts her disappointed husband because his son didn't show up to the event. Eventually, Nick returns home and sees Noah watching a movie with Thor in the living room. He points out how a drifting scene in the film isn't possible, but she counters that it can be done if both drivers pull on the handbrake at the same time. Then, she apologizes for costing him his car at the race, but he insists that it doesn't matter. The pair share a passionate kiss, but acknowledge that what they're doing is wrong because they're step-siblings. Moments later, Rafaela appears and tells the man to apologize to his father for missing the gala. The next day, the mother surprises the daughter with Dan, whom she invited to stay at the house for a few days. Later, while the friends hang out by the pool, Noah warns Nick that Dan can't see what he looks like because he might recognize him from the kissing picture and tell her mother. The man enjoys torturing his stepsister by constantly interrupting the couple's conversation. To preoccupy the guest, Lion and Jenna distract him while Nick pulls Noah into the water and they make out behind the pool floats. However, Dan still recognizes Nick as the guy from the picture. Minutes later, Rafaela hands her daughter flowers and a note, thinking they might be from the ex-boyfriend. When the teen opens the note, it contains a threatening message about how she's going to pay for what she did. She confronts Dan, but he doesn't know who sent the note. Then, he asks if her mother knows about her and Nick, but she feigns ignorance. Meanwhile, a mysterious man tells Ronnie that it's time they carry out their plan of abducting Noah. That evening, the ex-convict follows Nick outside a restaurant because they'd like him to relay a message to his stepsister. Later, the badly beaten man returns home, but when he sees Dan make his way to the teen's room, he heads outside instead. To his surprise, he finds the sleeping Noah on a lounge chair and spots the scar on her stomach. He tries to cover her body with her shirt, but the startled teen punches him. Apologetic, she tells him to lie down on the chair and tends to his injuries. Then, Nick says he believes Ronnie's after her, and it might be better if they stick together from now on. After they kiss, the teen wonders why women are drawn to men like him, those who lie and have a violent side. However, Nick swears that he isn't like the others. Suddenly, Dan appears, and Noah promises to forgive him for cheating if he keeps mum about the secret relationship. The next day, the servant, Martin, plays along and apologizes for Nick slipping on the leaves by the pool so Will doesn't ask about the bruises on his son's face. Moments later, Noah receives another threatening note from the mystery man. That afternoon, they pick Anna up and she gets annoyed at having to sit in the back seat. Mario asks the teen where she learned how to drive, but Anna interrupts and says her father's a rally driver as evidenced by a picture she posted on Instagram. However, she says her father died years ago during one of his races. Then, Noah asks how Nick got into gang culture. So the woman says because his mother abandoned him, he ran away to Mexico and met Lion, a car mechanic. The teen asks Anna leading questions to find out if she sent the notes, but the stepbrother says the woman's the type to confront her enemies in person. Eventually, they arrive at an abandoned building where Nick pulls Noah aside, and they passionately kiss behind a pillar. Soon, Lion and Jenna join them, and the teen realizes they're in the midst of a secret fight club. When the stepbrother prepares for his match, Noah begs him not to participate, but Anna pushes her away for distracting the man. Unable to stomach the carnage, the teen walks away and Mario chases after her. She expresses her disbelief at what they deem as entertainment, so the man comforts her. Then, he thanks Noah for inviting him and kisses her on the lips. Suddenly, Nick appears and pushes Mario off his stepsister. Furious, she admonishes the man for always using his fists to solve his problems. He explains that he's never felt jealousy when he was with other women before and that she drives him crazy. However, Noah says she can't have another violent person in her life again. Before leaving, she swears that nothing else is ever going to happen between her and Nick. For the next few days, the step-siblings go about their own lives and ignore each other. To earn money, the teen works as a waitress in a restaurant and one night finds another note under a plate. In her room, she keeps all the notes inside a box. One day, Will tells his son that Noah's father physically abused Rafaela and stabbed the teen when she was a child, explaining the scar on her stomach. He adds that the man's still alive and got out of prison 2 weeks ago, contrary to Noah's claim that he died in a race. Rafaela fears her ex-husband might track them down and exact revenge on their daughter since she was the key witness in his conviction. So Will asks his son to keep a close eye on his stepsister to make sure she's always safe. That evening, Jonas, Noah's father, waits in his car for the daughter to leave a party. Later, the intoxicated teen and her friend stumble onto the street, and Nick arrives just in time, foiling Jonas's plan. Noah insists she can drive herself home, so she returns to the party to grab her coat in the closet. However, Anna locks her inside and laughs about it with her friends. In the dark, the scared teen imagines her father approaching her with a knife. Seconds later, Nick opens the door and comforts his stepsister. Later that night, he asks why she told him her father died, and she says it's because the man's dead to her and she hopes he rots in jail. When he's about to leave the room, the teen asks him to stay, so they lay beside each other in bed. But before he can tell her that Jonas was released from prison, she falls asleep. The next day, Will barges into the room and sees them in bed. Before they explain themselves, the father says Maggie's in the hospital. Later, Nick breathes a sigh of relief upon seeing the child in a stable condition. On the drive back, the man stops the car by the side of the road and kisses Noah. He says he should have never left her on the road that night and kissed her instead. He adds that had he known about her father earlier, he would have kept her away from situations that remind her of her traumatic past. Then, the man swears he'd never hurt her, and that he knows she knows that. However, Noah reminds him that their parents know about their relationship, and she doesn't want to compromise her mother's happiness with Will. So they agree to enjoy one last night together in case this might be the last time they'll be in each other's arms. Later, the pair finally makes love on the sandy beach under the moonlight. The next morning, they want to do the deed again, so they drive to a gas station so Nick can purchase prophylactics. However, while he's in the store, Ronnie and his men knock her out with chloroform and abduct her. When he returns to the car, the man finds the door open and the teen missing. Later, Nick recognizes Ronnie on the security camera footage the detective shows him. Then, Will tells his son that if they do find Noah, he can never come near her again. Meanwhile, the teen wakes up in a dark room tied to a table. From the shadows, Jonas emerges and reveals that he sent her the letters. Concurrently, the cops find the notes and Rafaela's scared reaction shows that she recognizes her ex-husband's handwriting. Suddenly, her phone rings and Jonas tells them that he wants 1 million euros inside a bag by the statue on the promenade at 4 p.m. After the call, the detective relays that Ronnie and Jonas were cellmates in prison, explaining why they're working together. In the garage, the deranged man knocks his companion down to the floor with a gun. That afternoon, the parents wait by the statue with the money. Even though the authorities told him to stay away, Nick drives to the location to help out in any way he can. Unbeknownst to them, Jonas places a camera in the statue, and he listens in on their conversation. Suddenly, Nick remembers that because he hasn't paid off the car he lost to Ronnie, they can use the insurance tracker inside the vehicle. The detective informs the parents through their earpieces, and Jonas overhears that the police track them down. Just as Nick and the cop arrive outside the garage, his racing car crashes through the doors, and he sees that the father is forcing Noah to drive. The father orders the teen to drive by the promenade. He fires his gun at the couple, but Will manages to raise the bag over his head, saving him from the bullet. Eventually, Noah drives to the end of a pier, and she gives Nick, who's at the other end, a knowing look. Suddenly, they start driving toward each other at top speed, and just before colliding, they pull on their handbrakes at the same time, successfully drifting their vehicles in a circle. This allows their windows to align, so they lower their heads, giving the detective the perfect angle to shoot Jonas. Meanwhile, the cops find Ronnie tied up in a hole inside the garage. At the dock, the relieved parents hug their children, and Rafaela thanks Nick for saving her daughter. That evening, Nick sneaks into his stepsister's room and they make love. After the deed, he finally says, "I love you" for the first time. The teen hopes they never have to leave each other's arms, and that this is just the beginning of their story. However, a worried Rafaela tells her husband that they need to do whatever it takes to end their children's relationship.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.